After reflecting my year a few days ago with ChatGPT, I realized something that the biggest benefit of using ChatGPT is not to give me the clear answers. It's actually how I can use it to clarify my thinking. It helps me to think and to gather my thoughts. And so, in today's video, I'm going to share if I were to start using AI today, brand new, know nothing about AI, here's the 5 things I would do differently. All of these comes down to one thing, staying real. Let's step in. The first thing is relationship. Set the relationship between you and the AI as if you have somebody in mind. You wanted to determine like what do you want this AI to be for you? Do you want it to be a research assistant? Do you want it to be a coding agent? Do you want it to be an investor? Sometimes it could be a writing partner. Sometimes it could be a teacher. Sometimes it could be a travel planner. Sometimes it could be just some outlet to listen to you. It's the most important thing. The first thing is to set the relationship between you and the AI. Every single time it's talking about prompt, right? You like set, I want to talk to you as if you are my, put in a bracket, what do you want it to be? That would usually give AI a better direction, so it wouldn't give you very, very generic questions, because then if it's always generic questions all the time, you lose interest and confidence in building this whatever chat or your AI using as a tool experience better. Something that I use it most often too, like I have a like companion chat that's always open. And what I found most useful is whenever I'm anxious, I would just open the chat and say something about what I'm anxious about at the time. Actually, the funny thing is, it even before the AI gave me answers, after I talked through all of those anxious thoughts or whatever that's bothering me, the answers almost always appear itself. What AI does is just to reflect back to me. Maybe it is able to connect some of the dots that I didn't notice because I have a long running chat about everything in life there. So it was notice some patterns, it will reflect back to me and say, hey, by the way, did you notice that you be always very productive after you finish a yoga class? Did you notice that you feel very happy after you connect with the others? Did you notice that after finish one video or after send out 5 emails, you'll be more productive? That's your energy pattern. So those things is what I ask AI to do. It depends on how you set up the relationship with. And the second one is ease into thinking. I realize if I'm actually in a rush, for example, I'm vibe coding my website, and if I'm actually in a rush, then I don't really focus on what is going on there. The results can be sometimes counterproductive. Now what I do is I really give thoughtful context and relationship and what I'm expecting from the outcome to talk to the AI chatbot. Gather our thoughts and really be clear of what we really want. And then I will talk to AI because that's usually the most helpful way to use it. The other thing is also about ease into thinking is I now do not chase for perfection, because in the past I would be like, if I'm sending this email, it's super important, I will ask like 5 different angles how I can be better, what kind of strategy, what kind of other stuff I should mention in the email, what if I missed anything. But now I'm like, I would rather send out this email, maybe 90% there, it's not going to be life or death, like all the grammar mistakes is gone, very obvious AI tones are gone, all the things that's at the time in my mind that I need to communicate is already there, then I will send it. It's fine. I'm not going to spend 2 hours on the perfect email anymore. It's almost like all the AI models have been converged to the same industry standard. You see those lines that they push you to say, this is ready to send. Send it now. I think sometimes we just need that push, right? Like, so I'm not trying to chase perfection anymore and ease into thinking, like ease into doing. I now also ask different minds. I first used ChatGPT because that's the first one that's available in the market, so I've been using it ever since. And then at the beginning of 2025, DeepSeek came out during Chinese New Year. When I was back home, overnight, everyone on WeChat is using it. Different use case. What kind of things you can ask DeepSeek to use. So I started to use DeepSeek. Just recently, a few weeks ago, I started to play around with Claude because I've been hearing so many good things about Claude, like forever. So I finally started to use Claude to try a little bit. I haven't used Gemini yet. I'm tempted to use the Gemini Banana, the picture mode. But what I've heard from people is that Gemini and DeepSeek tend to be very straightforward. And as a Chinese speaker, I would say DeepSeek is usually very good at Chinese context stuff. The best use case I usually will automatically go to DeepSeek is anything that's Chinese culture relevant stuff. If I'm trying to explain like a concept to my friend in English, then I'm like, oh no, let me just ask DeepSeek. Or if my friend is going to China for a visit, then I will also go to DeepSeek and say, can you give me a 5-day itinerary for my friend who's traveling to China for the first time, but he or she has lived around many many different places and they're very curious about different things. They're around in their 30s, and please give me a very interesting planner. And those are the things I will go to DeepSeek. On ChatGPT, it just knows me too much. Like, how many messages did I send to ChatGPT ever since? This is insane. This is my status with ChatGPT. I'm among the 1% of top message sent people and the first 3% of users. I've sent 36,000 messages to ChatGPT. Like ChatGPT also have cross-chat memory and all the memories. So talking to ChatGPT, depending on, yes, sometimes the model change can be a little bit annoying because it changed something at the back end and then the behavior change a little bit. But at the end of the day, ChatGPT is still the one and only one that so far knows all the context. Now I start using Claude. It also allows you to customize your information. Like you can tell Claude at the very, very beginning of setup, like who you are, what kind of language do you want it to talk to you about, what kind of preference you have. And then what I find out is I really like the way that Claude presents itself. It presents in a very, very clean way. It's almost as if you're talking to someone like a business manager. And I was using Sonnet 4.5, the latest model, because I just recently started using it. I didn't know about the previous model though. So the latest model, the way that if you ask a very complex question, it will show you the way that it's thinking, and then you present the idea. It says, this is my thinking process and this is my idea. And it also presents you a document that you can download with all the ideas and all the ready to be sent, like emails and ideas, and also like procedures or the next action plans. I really like it, rather than, because then it's like a left and right presenting style. It's not like ChatGPT is back in the days when ChatGPT still have, on the left hand side is what it talks to you. On the right hand side is the deliverables, the document that they want you ask for. But I think ChatGPT for some reason nowadays do not have the left and right anymore. It's all sometimes folded in the chat. The first time I used Claude, I'm feeling like the responses is less robotic and it's very, very conversational. Of course, the knowledge that they have all the knowledge all the same. Like, 'cause I think they access to the same type of large language model and all the access to content online and whatever that they use to train them, right? But the way Claude behave, I think it feels like someone who's very independent. Like the way is not overly, oh yes, you're right, or like I sorry, I'm not wrong, because that's most of the complaint about ChatGPT are like that. Like because it's not set up to disagree with you. The main idea now, I think, for ChatGPT and some of the ChatGPT at least, it feels like they want you to stay talking to the ChatGPT as long as possible. So it tend to be a more agreeable to you. But Claude has more critical thinking than ChatGPT. At least that's what it seems to be for me. So usually when I have like a very complex task that I want to have different opinions, I would feed the same questions as a start and all the context that they need to all different chatbots. And then I don't ask the same questions again, because I would take a version, then I would add on my own thinking, and then I would revise it, and then I would send it to another chatbot, and then add my own thinking, and then I would send it to another chatbot. So now after, let's say, 3 rounds of iteration, it's as if you've been iterated and thinking about it with 3 very, very good advisor or friends or strategic partners for maybe 3 days. That's how I think about it, because I think they have a different way to build these models. So then different models would present different things and facts. sometimes they do make mistakes, so you always wanted to check again. Sometimes I will use a different chatbot to fact check Claude or ChatGPT's outcome. In this way, I think also as the chatbots grow, I also grow. I also learn how is the best way to use it. And then I think that's the fun part. Next one is let go when it's enough. It's like you can never be perfect. And when it's enough, let go. When it's enough, send out the email, push that video out, push that LinkedIn post out, push that action item, put that thought actually into action rather than just iterating in the AI world, because you actually need to act. You actually need to go out there and do things. And that's what AI is helping us. I don't think we should let AI to trap us into talking to AI forever. The real benefit of having AI is to be as efficiently and as optimizable as possible, to be able to gather the best information as quickly as possible so we can actually go out there and live our life as full as possible. So now when the email is 90% there, I send out the email. When I feel like a research is almost there, I stop. And now even the AI will remind me of those. So all of these, relationship first, ease into thinking, ask different minds, and let go when it's ready. Actually, it just means real. We need to stay real in real life. And finally, last but not the least, the best way to use AI is to live our life. Is to live our life in a way that I actually have new informations and questions and materials, and also like things that I'm genuinely curious about that I can ask AI rather than just prompting back and forth with all the information passing by somebody else. Because the new materials and what makes us human is that we are actually living this life on our own. The better results usually comes after real conversations, after real failures, after real experience, and after real questions. So if I am going to start using AI today, I will stay real. I will go out, live my life. I will experiment. I will be curious about everything that I ask AI to do for me, but also take the responsibility that I am the one who is going to put those into action. I think it will be a long time until agent mode can help us do everything, hopefully. AI didn't help me think, life did. AI can only be the assistant for me to live a better life on my own. So this is today's video. In this channel, I also share a lot more about AI life design. You can see the whole playlist here from very beginning, how you should set up AI, how you organize and manage your chats. I'm Lydia. I'm a banker turned entrepreneur. I'm so happy that you're here. You watched to the end of the video. If you want to leave any comment down below, please let me know what kind of questions or ideas or concepts that you want me to show more of on this channel. I'll see you in the next video.